32 kilometers off the coast of Scotland, the Flannan Isles emerge from the Atlantic. In 1899, a new lighthouse was completed here, a state-of-the-art sentinel designed to tame the most dangerous stretches of water in the British Isles. The men assigned to the rock, James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald McArthur, were far from novices. They were seasoned veterans, particularly McArthur, who spent a lifetime surviving the sea as a sailor. When the relief vessel Hesperus arrived for a routine shift change on December 26, 1900, the crew expected a standard greeting. Instead, they found a shore that was eerily vacant. Captain James Harvey blasted the ship's steam whistle and fired signal flares into the gray sky. He waited for a flag to be raised or a man to appear, but the island offered no response. This was a modern maritime fortress, built to withstand the elements and manned by disciplined experts, yet it had suddenly and inexplicably gone dark. Joseph Moore, the relief keeper, climbed the cliff and entered the station. He found the exterior gates locked and the kitchen door closed. Inside, the table was set and the rooms were in perfect order. Even the most critical components of the station remained undisturbed. The lighthouse lamps had been meticulously cleaned and refilled with oil, ready to be lit. There were no signs of a struggle, no broken glass, and no structural failure. The keepers had vanished from a secure, functional environment, creating an impossible room scenario at the edge of the world. A few specific details stood out in the otherwise tidy living quarters. A clock had stopped ticking, and a single chair had been knocked over or pulled away from the kitchen table. On the coat rack by the door, only 2 heavy oilskin raincoats remained. For 3 men, there should have been 3. In the middle of a Scottish winter, leaving a lighthouse without an oilskin suggests a departure so sudden and so urgent that there was no time to dress for the weather. The logs left by Thomas Marshall provided a stark contrast to the order of the room. They documented a psychological deterioration that didn't match the men's professional reputations. The entries described a storm of terrifying violence. They noted that the lead keeper had become strangely silent, and that Donald McArthur, a man known for his fearlessness, had been reduced to tears. The narrative ends with one final cryptic sentence: "Storm has ended. God is over all." These entries suggest a breakdown of morale inside the station, ending in a panicked exit from the very structure that was built to protect them. Outside, investigators moved down the cliffs to the western landing area. Here, they finally found the damage that was missing from the interior. Iron railings, bolted deep into the rock, had been twisted and bent. A heavy equipment storage box had been ripped from its moorings and smashed to pieces. While the men were at peace inside the lighthouse, an immense physical power had been dismantling the landing area just a few hundred feet below. The Northern Lighthouse Board's official inquiry concluded that the men were victims of a rogue wave. Unlike standard storm swells, a rogue wave suddenly spikes to triple the height of the surrounding sea. The board hypothesized that while securing equipment at the landing, a massive surge swept over the cliff, pulling all 3 men into the Atlantic. But this theory contradicts the most fundamental rule of the lighthouse service. To ensure the light never failed, at least one keeper was strictly required to remain inside the station at all times. Leaving the lighthouse completely unattended was an unthinkable breach of protocol. This creates the paradox that defines the case. Why would 3 veteran keepers simultaneously abandon their post and their safety? For over a century, theories of sea serpents, ghosts, and alien abductions have filled the silence left by the missing men. However, there is no evidence of foul play. The absence of blood, signs of struggle, or weapons makes murder or mutiny unlikely. Without proof of a crime or a supernatural event, we are left with a natural explanation that accounts for the physical damage, but fails to explain the men's irrational behavior. 125 years later, the Flannan Isles case is officially closed, but the lack of direct evidence keeps it alive in the public imagination. Without the recovery of the bodies, the sea has kept the only physical evidence that could offer a definitive answer. The story remains a stark reminder that even our most rigid systems and modern fortresses are built upon a thin veneer of control that the ocean can ignore at will. We are left to wonder if the men broke their sacred protocol in a moment of human panic, or if the sea simply reached up and erased them while they were still following the rules.